we might know your industry, but we don't know your story. So we got to sit down with you and figure out what that narrative is so that we can properly convey it through that video. So we do require our clients to come in and have that initial consultation so we can figure out how do we strategize? Because we're not just making one video and done and hope you do well with it.
Right.
We want to build out your strategy.
Welcome to the Networking with Michelle podcast, the show dedicated on providing you the how-tos of marketing and networking strategies. Here we believe in the Jim Rohn quote, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Hey, good people. Welcome back to the Networking with Michelle show. Hey, last week I got such great feedback about the show with Roberto Blake on video and YouTube marketing. Look, I told y'all to brace yourselves, and people were like, oh my God, Michelle, you were right. So I want to thank everyone for the Facebook messages, Instagram and Twitter messages like, oh my God, you got Roberto Blake on the show. Hey, could not have done it without you. You know who you are specifically, but definitely shout out to all of those that messaged me. Shout out to all those that did the survey telling me what you wanted, and I was able to deliver. So this week, I want to take it a step further. Today, I have the creative director of Twice Media Productions, Tiffany Williams, and in this episode, we discuss when is it time to hire a professional videographer? What type of qualities do we look for? What questions do we ask when it comes to video, right? Because eventually, hey, it's cool, grabbing your phone and doing the video, and hey, we got to do that too. But then there's going to come a time when we need to up our game, right? When we need to promote a video promote a book or a product and certain things. Maybe we need a nice company commercial on YouTube, and the phone just won't cut it. So what do we look for when we need to hire a professional video person? So we discuss all of that and more. And I'm going to be honest, Tiffany's a good friend, a great friend on this entrepreneur journey. We met about 3-4 years ago, and we've been rocking tough. So been fortunate to be on her show. Twice Tips comes out every Wednesday, and we talk about that. And I want to say she's returning the favor, but she didn't have much of a choice. But it's definitely a pleasure to shoot the breeze and to see her in her element. Hey, I do want to let you know I try to be like social media dimensional and do a Facebook Live. We're not going to get, what I realize is I am an amateur Facebook Live /streamer, and I'm a professional podcaster. So if there's any miscellaneous noise or whatever, extra shout outs, that's what that was. But I really try to tame myself and focus on the interview at hand. So I just wanted to give you a heads up about that. It's good quality as always, right? I'm always delivering on my promise. Look, this episode right here is brought to you by Twice Media Productions. Recharge your marketing campaign with the power of video. Be sure to check out twicemediaproductions.com. That's twicemediaproductions.com. Welcome, Tiffany Williams. All right, so I got Tiffany Williams of Twice Media Productions. We're in the Twice Media studio located in downtown Houston. How are you doing today? Welcome to the Networking with Michelle show.
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for being the guinea pig. First time doing live. Professional podcaster, just first time doing the show live, so bear with us. All right, so we're going to focus on video marketing, video technology, all things video. I'm doing a series right now. Tiffany, our good friend, she was nice enough to, share some expertise. So tell me about your company. How did you get started? All that good stuff.
Well, first, let me say I'm just happy to be here. I finally got an invitation. We've been friends forever, but I finally got an invitation to the show. So I'm very excited to be here. Tell you a little bit about Twice Media. We are a full service production company. We like to call ourselves a video technology company because we do so many different types of video. So whether you need a promotional video for your website, you need to do a live TV spot, you need to do mobile video where you're using your cell phone to shoot video and make it look more professional. We teach you how to do that. Whether you need drone footage, time-lapse footage, 360 or virtual reality, we do all of that for you. So we really do live video and that whole idea of video technology and using that to grow and expand your business and your brand.
So you mentioned drones. like, what are some of the equipments? Drone. I mean, I think that's expensive when I hear drone. like that's official.
They do have very expensive drones, but they also have some more at the consumer level that you can get. So, as I mentioned, we use 360 video cameras. We do things with VR, virtual reality. We have Canon DSLR cameras that we shoot with a lot of times because we do photography and video production. I forgot to mention that earlier. And we also have some JVC cameras. I mean, it really just depends on what the job is requiring of us, and then we'll decide which camera is going to be best to execute that job. There even are times when we're doing mobile video, like we're doing here today, using your mobile device to live stream or to capture video and edit it later. So it really just depends on what that job entails and what's the best camera or gear to use to execute it.
And what is some good consumer software to use to start? If you're like, hey, I'm sitting at home, I got a white wall, and I just need to put a few things. What's some good software you can recommend to us?
So editing software?
Yes.
So I use Adobe Premiere. It is a professional tool to use, but you can use it and learn it. There's a lot of information online available to help you learn. So you've got sites like lynda.com that are good for training. Now that's a paid class, or those are paid courses rather. But you also have a lot of stuff on YouTube. I mean, just Google it and I'm pretty sure you'll figure it out from there because everything is on YouTube. Adobe also has Adobe TV that's very helpful. So there's that as a resource. And then on the more consumer side, you have software like iMovie, and I actually like iMovie's mobile app. I don't use their desktop app at all, but their mobile app is really good for editing, especially on the spot video. So that's a good one as well.
Okay, I've upgraded from iMovie to Camtasia.
Okay.
So maybe one day I can go back to the Adobe. Okay, cool.
And Final Cut is also another good one. It's still on the pro level, and I don't use it anymore. I used it up until 7, and then when they went to 10, I switched over to Adobe. But there are so many tools out there. It's just a matter of finding the one that you like the best that's going to do what you need it to do.
I mean, what are some of the things to actually look for? Because I think that's the thing. Like, we know we need to do video, but then we get so overwhelmed with some of the options when it comes to whether it's the phone or the type of camera and then the software.
Well, you can just call us and we'll... No, I'm joking.
Video consultation.
No, I mean, there's so much out there that you can do on your own. You want to make sure that you pick a camera that you're comfortable with. So there are places like Prime Camera where you can rent gear. So you don't have to necessarily make that full investment of purchasing something, but you can go out and rent things and then test them out and see if that's going to be something that you're comfortable with.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So there's a lot of options out there.
You mentioned apps earlier. You mentioned the iMovie app. I guess, what are some of the apps you use, personal, business, or that you recommend?
For video editing and
both
shooting?
Photo and video.
So VSCO Cam is one of my favorite photo editing and shooting apps. It does both. So I really like that app. A lot of professionals use it because you can control lighting and your exposure. You can control quite a bit on that particular app. Now you have apps that have progressed over time, like Instagram now has a lot of those controls that VSCO Cam had from day one. So Instagram has started upgrading its camera, and a lot of the native cameras now coming on smartphones are getting a lot more advanced too, because I know there are some Android phones out there. I'm team iPhone, but there are a lot of Android phones out there that have all of the controls built into that native camera, where you can control your ISO, your shutter speed, and your aperture and all of that. So there's a lot of stuff out there, and iPhone has actually upgraded their camera quite a bit too to help you control on the editing side. They don't really have a lot for the shooting, but they do have some controls on the editing. So that's what I use for photography. On the video side, you have apps like Video Pro Camera that's really good for editing video. And then let's see, is it Flip? I'm drawing a blank on the name of the other one that we use here, but it'll come to me in a bit. But those are probably the main ones that I use. And then for video editing is the iMovie. And I think I said that backwards. So Video Pro camera is for video shooting. So you can monitor your audio levels and you can control your frame rate and do those other types of things on the professional side, control your exposure and your white balance and things like that. So that's video shooting, Video Pro camera, and then video, and then the iMovie is for video editing.
Okay. Now I'm team Android. I just bought this Google Pixel and it shoots in 4K. So I shot a little video earlier, but unfortunately kind of ran out of storage.
My
today.
iPhone shoots in 4K too. Thank you.
I'm just trying to, keep up. Just trying to contribute to my show.
No, but the Android cameras are really good. I have to give them that. The Android cameras are really good. So you have my approval on that one.
So what makes a good video? I mean, I've learned from you, do not neglect your audio. Okay. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to get as close to the phone as I possibly can. Right. But then I'm like the lighting, so what makes a good video?
So you definitely want to factor in your audio. People will forgive bad video, but they won't forgive bad audio. If they can't hear, they're going to click off to something else. I love how someone just put on Facebook, Team Droid all day. I love it. Pick your side. So that is probably one of the most important tips that I can give you is to make sure that your audio is on point. So get an external microphone. It is that important. People need to hear what you're saying. And there's a lot has changed. So Facebook, of course, auto plays the videos and doesn't play the sound. So you want to have like subtitles and things like that. But understand that if somebody does click on it, they're going to want to hear you. So that's still very important to consider your audio. The next one is lighting. You want to make sure that people can see you. If there's bad lighting, it's too dark, there are issues with that. So you want to have proper lighting. And I would say the most important thing is to tell a story. You want to have a narrative that expresses whatever it is that you're trying to say. So your company, your brand, you as an individual, whatever it is that you're marketing, there's a story there. So find that story and then make sure that your video is telling that story effectively.
That's interesting that you mentioned the story component, right? Especially when you have obviously the Facebook Live, Instagram Live, Periscope, 60-second videos on Instagram. I mean, do I have time to capture a story or do I just have time to run my mouth and, show my expertise and hopefully it's valuable to someone?
So the important thing is to establish your brand narrative on the front end. Establish what your brand identity is on the front end. When you go down and decide, okay, who are we as a company? What do we value? What is our mission? You determine that brand story from the beginning. And then every piece of your marketing after that, you pull back to that same story. I was just talking to a gentleman who owns a hair care product line, and they give jobs to women in Haiti through that line. And so that's their narrative.
That's
that's the story.
Yeah.
That's deep. People want to hear about that. People want to see that. So everything they do now going forward is built on that narrative because they already have that foundation laid. That's their story. Now, everybody's not going to have a story like that, but every brand does have a story. So what you have to do is tap into that story, figure out what it is, and then make sure that all of your marketing pieces that you send out, whether that be via social media, whether that be via your email newsletter, it be on your website, it be on your printed collateral, but everything that you do tells that story and is true to that narrative.
Any tips on how to even unfold our story? How do we get our story from our mind to paper, then eventually to video?
You have to dig deep. You've got to ask yourself some questions. Like I said, going back to what do you value as a company or as an individual or as a brand, and figuring out who you are and what message you do want to convey. And there are all types of things that we've been through or that kind of helped give us that push into entrepreneurship or helped give us that push into wanting to be a professional speaker or whatever it is. But just kind of pull deep and figure out what it is that makes you unique, what it is that gave you that push, because everybody's going to be different. Yeah. So there's not like a magic formula, but you definitely want to sit down and figure out, who am I? What value do I bring? What are my values? What's important to me? Why did I build this company? What's your why? Mm-hmm. That's a good way of putting it. What's your why? That's how you find out what your narrative is by figuring out your why. Why do you get up every day and do what you do? Because if you're not passionate about it, then nobody else is going to be passionate about it. True. So you've got to figure out what it is, and then you can use vehicles like video to share that message with the world.
So we've been focusing a lot on pretty much the mobile video, which is something that you specialize in. You have classes in that. And everyone's kind of like, well, I can shoot anything on my iPhone or my Android, right? So when is it the right time to actually hire someone when it comes to, hey, maybe I need a speaking video or I need a commercial for my company?
Well, you're right. There are a lot of tools out there that make it easy to shoot your own video. The cameras on the mobile devices are becoming much more professional. They shoot 4K, as we just mentioned. Mm-hmm. Both iPhone and Android shoot 4K. And so, you've got all these tools that are shooting these really high quality videos. And so, yes, you can definitely use them. But I would say when you want to go to a professional, when obviously you need something for a TV commercial, there are certain brand standards and different things that you have to follow.
Well, I mean, YouTube commercial.
Okay, so
commercial nonetheless.
Okay, so if there's something that needs a lot of advanced animation or typography or things like that, you're kind of limited on the mobile video side. Right. So you want to kind of hire a professional that knows what they're doing. And back to that narrative, that's one of the things that I know we do as a production company. We help brands figure out what their story is, and then we help them convey that message through video. So you definitely want to hire a firm that's going to sit down and do that storyboard with you, and is going to plan out that video from the pre-production to the production to the post-production phase, so you know what it is that you're trying to share. And then and make sure that that's in line with that brand identity that we mentioned earlier. So that's the value that I would say that a professional production firm is going to bring. Yeah, you might spend more money and you might have to devote more time than just pulling out your camera and pressing that record button. But it's going to make the difference in the long run, especially when you look at the quality. Because yes, you can shoot 4K on the mobile phones and you can equip it with tools and apps to make the video look more professional. But at the end of the day, a professional production company is going to know things, have different type of equipment to make it look even more professional. And I mean, you can tell. You can tell. There are ways to distinguish when something has truly been shot by a professional company versus shot on a mobile device.
Now, I consider myself, I'm one of those people, very busy. I don't like to think, right? When I say that, I mean, if I have the money, I'm very willing to hire someone, and I'm like, do your thing.
Just throw money at the problem.
Yes. That's how my mom raised me, okay? But the thing is, like, I've hurt myself because maybe I didn't even ask any questions at all. And, I really believe I don't know what I don't know. So what are some questions to even ask a videographer? Because not just a phone, but anyone can go buy a DSLR camera, Best Buy, $400, bam, YouTube, adjust the settings, I'm in business. So what are some questions to ask when it comes to hiring a videographer or, a company?
One of the most important things I think you need to ask your production company is, what is their specialty? Avoid companies that promise to do it all. They shoot weddings, they shoot corporate, they shoot anything under the bar mitzvahs, they shoot anything under the sun. And, when I first started, I kind of was like, well, look, if somebody wants to hire me, fine. But eventually you need to figure out where your sweet spot is. You need to figure out what you can bring the most value to, and then hone that skill. And so if you ask the firm what their specialty is, then you can figure out if that's kind of a good fit for you. It's not to say that they can't do the other stuff, but when you're looking at something, especially if you go after the corporate sector like we do, there are regulations that you have to adhere to when you're on an oil and gas campus versus when you're on a school campus. I mean, there's so many different things you need to know. So if you're out here saying, I do it all, and then you come to a corporate oil and gas campus and you don't know anything about it, but you've made all these promises, then what? So you want to go with a firm that has a specialty area, that has worked in your industry, that knows your industry, and that has expertise in that area. So I would say that's one thing to definitely look for. And ask, the question. And then another thing is to figure out where you fit as the client in that production process. What do they expect of you? Because, like on our end, we're full service. So we'll write your script, we'll hire the actors, the voiceover talent, the makeup artists, we'll do everything from start to finish. But sometimes people want to write their own script.
Yeah.
And there's also, there's also like certain instances where we might know your industry, but we don't know your story. So we got to sit down with you and figure out what that narrative is so that we can properly convey it through that video. So we do require our clients to come in and have that initial consultation so we can figure out how do we strategize, because we're not just making one video and done and hope you do well with it.
Right.
We want to build out your strategy.
Right.
So how many videos are you going to create? What's the brand identity that you're going to establish and build upon? And the foundation that you're going to stand on, we got to sit down and figure all that stuff out. So we do require our clients to do a little bit of work. We send them a folder, a cloud-based folder where they need to upload any photos they want, any video clips that they had already shot in the past, any photos, any, their logo. Like there's certain things that we need from them. And so we put them a part of that production process, but we lay that out up front. So you want to go with a firm that knows everybody's role and can articulate that to you from the front end.
I need to rehire you. That's what I need to do.
Yes, you do.
That's what I need to do. All right. So what else? What else is there?
What else is there?
About video,
just in general. Yeah. Well, so I could talk about video all day long. I mean, how much time do we have? That's the better question. I would say,
So let's talk about this, because you mentioned how you used to do everything and then now you're corporate. Mm-hmm. So I've seen you transform at least 3 out of these 4 years that you've been in business. Mm-hmm. So walk us through that. What's your story?
Wow. Well, you want the whole story or the abridged version? I'll give you the abridged. Okay. So I started the company 3 months after I finished graduate school. Mm-hmm. No business experience, no connections in Houston. I just was like, life's too short. I graduated, I moved here, opened the business, and I said, I'm going to take whatever people give me because nobody knows my name and they definitely don't know Twice Media. But I realized early on that I didn't have the personality for individual work, meaning I have a corporate personality, even though I've never had a job or, worked in corporate America or anything, because I did come straight out of school. But that's just a part of my personality. I like structure. I like expectations laid out up front. I like contracts. It's nothing personal. It's just business. That's how I am. And so, dealing with brides and their moms just wasn't my thing, Nothing against, people that wedding photographers and videographers, because it's very lucrative. And I mean, the photos are always gorgeous. And I have a lot of respect for wedding videographers and photographers, but it just wasn't for me. So I think that was the most important thing, was understanding who I was as an individual and as the person founding this company.
But how long did it take you to get to that point? Like, how many months or how many bridal shoots did it take to nah?
It wasn't like I had a bad experience or anything. It was just something that I realized about myself. And I honestly, I can't remember the exact time frame that it took me to figure that out. But I'm one of those people that's always looking to improve myself. And I'm always asking myself those tough questions. And so when looking at myself and digging deep and saying, okay, what do I want to do? What is my vision for this company? Then I was able to get a better understanding of how I was going to move it forward. And I said, you know what? I think I'm going to just step away from the individual side and focus more on trying to go after the big corporate contracts, just because that was just the business model I chose.
So how did you make that transition and then niche down?
Well, one of the things that I did was I joined the Houston Minority Supplier Development Council and Women Business Enterprise Alliance. And through those organizations, they're both certifying agencies. And so they help minority and women-owned businesses start relationships with corporate private sector entities. And so by going through that certification process with both of those organizations, I was able to start establishing those relationships. And I mean, getting certified doesn't guarantee you a corporate contract by any means, but those organizations kind of serve as a liaison between small businesses and those larger corporate firms. And because they've done that vetting process, at least that corporation knows that they can, they can take a chance on you. And then from there, you have to build and nourish that relationship. And of course, prove yourself. You can't come and mess up and then say, oh, well, I'm a small business. No, you got to come ready. You got to have the capacity to deal with a corporation because they deal with a lot of companies and they deal with big projects. And so you got to be ready. And so by joining those organizations and just learning more about corporate America, I said, okay, I think this is something for me. And then I started investing more in going after that market.
Gotcha. With technology moving so fast, how do you stay abreast of, technology from cameras, video, and, just in your whole industry as a whole?
Well, I love technology, video. I could read it, listen to it, watch it all day long. So I'm always staying abreast to trends because I'm reading publications like Mashable, TechCrunch. I'm following them on social media. So every time they post something new, I'm hearing about it. And we even do our own video blog, Twice Tips Here, which you've actually are going to appear on soon. Thank you for that, by the way.
You're welcome.
And have appeared on before in the past. So thank you again for coming back and sharing your wisdom with us. So by publishing our own video blog every week, we've got to stay up on the trends because we can't claim to give other people great advice about digital marketing and video production and all of those things if we're not staying abreast to it ourselves. So I have my publications that I live and die by and that I follow and I trust, and I know they're going to give me good information, and I stay connected with them in every capacity, whether that's their email newsletter, their website, or their social media channels.
Okay. So Tiffany, what? See, this is what happens when you interview your friends. No, but I want to acknowledge you because I admire you. I've been fortunate to see your hustle, to see your growth, personal and professional. You've been not just a great business person, but also a great friend. So thank you.
Thanks.
So how can people get in touch with you?
You can reach me by visiting my website, which is twicemediaproductions.com. That's twicemediaproductions.com. And that has links to all of our social media channels, email, where you can reach us that way, phone number. So you can contact us by going to our website.
And how do you define success?
I think success is relative. I think that we all have to figure out who we are and what success means to us. And then from there, we will be able to determine what is that to us. And so for me, I don't have like a great quote or anything, or just a set answer. I would say for me, it's being happy and being appreciative and grateful for the life that was given to me. I firmly believe that everything happens for a reason and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And to me, that's success. I'm nowhere near where I want to be. Eventually, I want to definitely progress further. I want to accomplish more. I want to help more. I want to be able to give on a larger scale. But for right now, where I am, I feel like I'm very successful because I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
All right. There you have it. Hey, everyone. I want to thank you for listening to another episode of Networking with Michelle. Remember, I believe in you, and a personal connection leads to an influential network.